This is our political analyst, Brian Sobel. Brian, how in the world could something like this happen? This is our government. This is our nation's capital. How could security have failed so badly? What if these people had guns or explosives? It's just mind-boggling to me. And again, this was a planned event.
Frank, a very dark day in American history. I'll answer your question, but I'll say, first of all, we have to appreciate the resilience of democracy as those senators and House members went back to work tonight. To your question, there was an epic security fail at the U.S. Capitol today. Now, I've been to something like the State of the Union, and when you attend the State of the Union, the entire Capitol grounds are surrounded by city buses, bumper to bumper. And as you work your way to the Capitol building, there are rings of security that just continue to get larger and larger until you're in the building itself and then up into the gallery where I was watching one of the State of the Unions. The security, if it had been anywhere approximate to that, this would not have happened today, and these cretins and these thugs would not have been able to do what they did today, which was despicable.
I still can't believe, when we look at these pictures, I just still can't believe what happened and how the security failed so badly that it allowed them to actually go into the Senate chambers. Brian, it was also striking to me how shaken up both Democrats and Republicans were about what happened. And several of the Republicans, including Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler, immediately said that she was changing her vote on the Electoral College. And that's what precipitated all of this. It feels like what happened today may be a turning point in our history where we came to the brink, but we survived. Is that overstating things at all, in your opinion?
Not overstating it, Frank. It is a critical time in our country's history, and we've had many through history, but this is a critical time where we have to do a national gut check about this violence that's occurring here at the Capitol, in some of these riots around the country where there were lootings and confrontations with police officers, where we failed to be able to talk to each other. And what we saw in the Capitol tonight, and I hope it extends, are Republicans and Democrats saying enough is enough. We have to begin to talk with one another. We can have differences of opinion. We can have huge differences of opinion, but it shouldn't end up in the violence we saw today. And only in this country do you have this kind of scene, and I think we'll work our way through it. You know, I'm reminded of what happens in other countries, like in 1989 in Tiananmen Square, and the rioting in China that resulted in the Chinese government killing up to 10,000 people. Can you imagine if that had occurred today at the Capitol, and yet there was violence there today? But somehow we will survive this, we'll get through it, and hopefully we'll be better for it.
Brian, one thing that was striking to me was that President Trump was invisible today. We have people taking over the U.S. Capitol, and the president was essentially nowhere to be seen. How do you explain that?
I can't, and I thought it was ironic that he was talking about Vice President Pence as being a coward, and yet he just disappeared from the scene. That is the President of the United States. He had an obligation, in my view, and I think all Americans, to come back out and say, this is wrong, go home, get off the Capitol grounds. This cannot happen here in America. And instead, he's talking about, you know, good people and all that sort of thing. It's just so striking, Frank, what we saw today, including that speech that he gave, that essentially gave people permission to march on the Capitol. And of course, even if most of those people were peaceful, there are thugs and lawbreakers in every one of these crowds that begin doing bad things. And again, security was not there to stop it.
Brian, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm 63. I've never seen anything like this, and just a sad day, I think, when it comes to America. But, you know, again, I think we'll persevere, we'll move on, and the Senate and the House both came back, and that's good news. Brian, we appreciate you talking to us tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely, Frank. And may I say one other thing? You know, Martin Luther King talked about nonviolent protest, being able to just sit down essentially and work differences out without billy clubs and all these other things. Let's take that as a lesson tonight. Please, all of America.
Couldn't agree with you more. Brian, thank you. We'll leave it there. Appreciate it.